Namaskar, friends. Let me extend a very warm welcome to you. Today we have met on this platform to discuss about yoga. Chetna series of lectures is being conducted by UGC for last couple of years, where we bring experts from all fields of life and discuss the best practices that can be adopted in our higher educational institutions. And these lectures are live streamed on all our social media platforms. Thousands of viewers, heads of educational institutions, faculty members, students from across the country, they join us in these deliberations. Today is a very important day for us in India and also across the globe. We are celebrating the International Day of Yoga. Friends, today this program is a little bit unstructured. We will have few discussions by each expert and then discussions among themselves, and then we will take the questions from the audience. I am glad to inform you that in today's program, we have three experts to discuss about yoga. And one of them is Professor Tanuja Nesari. She is Director, All India Institute of Ayurveda. She has a long experience, more than 3 decades of experience in academia, administration, and research in the area of Ayurveda. And we have Sri Saurabh Jain, who is a wellness and sustainability expert from Isha Foundation, which is well known in India and across the globe. Then we have Sri Saurabh Bothra. He is a co-founder of Habit Building platform, and he is a YouTube influencer. Let me extend a warm welcome to all three of you. Before we start the program, I would like to share a few thoughts with you, and then I will invite each of these three experts to speak for about 5 minutes each. And then we will have a kind of round table. Although we are sitting in faraway places, we will discuss amongst ourselves on different aspects of yoga, and then we will take up the questions. You know, in India, all of us have heard about yogi, the word yogi, because for times immemorial in India, all of us have been familiar with saints and sages. The yogis are the ones who practice yoga. And yoga, almost every Indian knows about yoga. We have either seen someone practicing yoga, or we read about it in our books, or we might have seen it on YouTube or in other places. Yoga is very, very familiar to Indians. It is also because yoga has its origins in India, right from the time of Patanjali, which was 300 years before BC. Patanjali codified the yoga principles. And yoga has been practiced by lakhs and crores of Indians. Today, yoga also has become very popular across the globe. Thanks to the International Day of Yoga, more than 150 countries across the globe, they celebrate International Day of Yoga to remember about the importance of yoga. But why is it that yoga is so important in our lives? What does yoga provide us? You know, when we talk about yoga, two persons come in my mind. Imagine for a second a gardener in your mind and a sculptor. A sculptor makes beautiful statues out of a boulder. The statue has to do nothing. It is the sculptor who will chip away the unwanted material from this boulder, and then a beautiful statue emerges out of it. The statue doesn't do anything. On the other hand, if you imagine a gardener, what does a gardener do? A gardener provides soil to a plant, provides water to the plant, ensures that there is enough sunlight to the plant. Now, it is up to the plant to make use of the soil, the water, and the sunshine, and grow and grow and become a bigger plant, and ultimately a tree, and bear fruits, and become a home to birds, insects, and so on. So in the case of gardener, it is the tree which is doing all the job, unlike in the case of the statue, which doesn't have to do anything, but it turns out to be a beautiful statue. Yoga is somewhat similar to this gardener. Yoga provides us to develop by ourselves in the material sphere. Our body is a material, and we interact with the material world around us. So in the material world and in our mental world, in our ethical world, and in our spiritual world, in all domains, yoga provides us the required nutrients, the required sunlight, the required water, the equivalent of that. And it is for us to make use of what yoga is telling us, practice that, so that we grow to be a better human being. It is in our hands to take advantage of yoga and grow and become a better human being, so that we lead a life of balance, of contentment, of better interaction with people around us, with nature around us, whether they are living beings or non-living beings. So yoga has several things to offer to us. So if I want to practice yoga, therefore, where do I start? How do I start? I want to tell you a small story. The same doubt came in the mind of a young person. And this youngster, he wanted to learn yoga. And he went to a guru, a yoga guru. And he asked him, I am deeply interested in yoga. I want to learn. Please teach me. So the yoga guru said, all right, you stay in my ashram. There are dozens of other yoga practitioners, young, old, and so on. You stay here for a couple of days, and then I will start teaching you yoga. So this young man started living with those people, interacting with them, imitating some of the things that they are doing, simple yogasanas. 2-3 days passed by, but the guru didn't call this person. Another 2-3 days passed by. Nothing happened. Another week, 2 weeks, and this young person became very, very restless. I came here to learn yoga, and the yoga guru is not calling me to practice yoga. He is not teaching me yoga. What is going on? Let me go and find out from the guru. So he goes to the guru, and he was a little bit upset, and he asked the guru, when are you starting the practice of yoga? When can I learn? Then the guru says, there is a purpose why I delayed. There is a purpose why I asked you to live with the other disciples, the other yoga practitioners. I wanted to see if you possess certain values within yourself, whether you practice non-violence, whether you are truthful, whether you are non-stealing, whether you practice moderation, whether you're excessively attached to things, desires. These are called yamas, ethical restraints in one's life. And then I also wanted to see if you observe certain things, such as whether you are a person who practices purity, whether you are a person who has contentment, whether you are a person of discipline, whether you understand yourself, self-study, whether you are a person who is devoted to a cause, whether you surrender to a larger power, a higher power, or you are devoted to a cause, a goal. If you want to practice yoga, these are the first steps that you must acquire in your life. Friends, the reason why I have told you about this story is that the general perception about yoga is that it is about learning some asanas. It is about becoming physically fit. But yoga goes beyond that. Yoga is multidimensional. So today, therefore, it is time for us to look at this multidimensional aspect of yoga, practice it, and benefit from it. The benefit is not going to be to your individual self. Yoga, of course, will teach you how to keep your body in a healthy condition, because it is the instrument through which you interact with the rest of the world. Therefore, you need to keep your body in a good condition. So yoga will definitely help. And yoga will also tell us about your mental state, how to maintain a balanced mental state. Because there are so many things that will keep happening around you over which you may not have control. And in fact, in many cases, you will not have any control. Suddenly it rains, suddenly power goes off, suddenly something happens in your family. You don't have any control over that. But how do you respond to these changing situations over which you don't have any control? How do you acquire that mental balance to respond in a proper way so that you do not become stressful? So this is to strengthen yourself both mentally and physically. But we are not an individual. We are part of this society. We are part of this nature. Having strengthened ourselves, we need to next focus on how do I manage myself in this world through my interactions, through various things that I do. How do I establish a harmonious coexistence with the rest of the world? So these are the things that we need to learn so that we lead a balanced and happy life. And to discuss these things, we have three experts with us. And I will begin with the first panelist to speak for about 5 minutes, and then we will move on to the next speakers. Professor Tanuja Nesari.
Namaste, and thank you very much, Chairman UGC, for your excellent remarks about Yama and Niyam and what is the meaning of yoga as a samatva muchyate and how we create harmony within ourselves and with the universe and the outside universe. And I'm really feel proud, humbled, and honored to have given this opportunity to share the views about what Ayurveda and yoga, how the Ayur yoga is a perfect combination and the blend where we can achieve the holistic health. And I'm really happy to share the panel with the highly accomplished panelists. So to begin with, as you mentioned, sir, the Ayurveda also says that Ayuhu Vedaha, that is a knowledge system of health and happiness. And is as it is said that it is a journey from illness to wellness to happiness. And as it is said in Patanjali, that yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya cha vaidyakeyam. So what does it mean that for the chitta shuddhi and for all mental and spiritual well-being and the applications, the yoga is the solution. Chitta shuddhi ke liye yoga karna hai. But for malam sharirasya, for all physical elements, since beginning, since tradition, since thousands of years, it is the Ayurveda has to be practiced. So it is the Ayur Yoga. Ayurveda and Yoga are the two sides of a single coin. Ayurveda is a physical face of yoga, and yoga is a spiritual face of Ayurveda. And we are really fortunate and blessed that this Ayurveda and yoga, they are imbibed in our tradition. That is the greatest gift to the humanity from Bharat, from India to the entire world. And today we are really proud and say that through Ministry of Ayush, that and with the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, that 200 countries almost are celebrating today International Yoga Day. And it is beyond religion, beyond caste, beyond country. It is just for attaining, as sir you mentioned, it is not only the physical fitness, but it is something beyond that. It is for mental, spiritual, social, and holistic well-being, and that attainment of true happiness, as Ayurveda objective of the main Ayurveda is swasthasya swasthya rakshanam. And the swastha itself is a mental, physical, spiritual, and the social well-being. So for attaining, I think 200 जैसे हमारी 140 करोड़ देशवासी नहीं, पूरी दुनिया की जितनी भी आबादी है, आबाल वृद्ध, छोटे बड़े बुजुर्ग, एजुकेशन, कॉलेज, होम मेकर, everyone is celebrating this journey of celebration for the attainment of health and happiness. And to me, sir, if we really ask my experience and my reflections of my journey, I started practicing yoga when I was a student, because in Ayurveda curriculum, in Swastha Vritta, yoga is an inseparate part. We have to not only knowledge, skill, and attitude, but we really have to inculcate those professional skills to demonstrate being an Ayurveda physician. And I'm practicing it for last 3 decades. And what my journey every day starts with yogic kriyas and yamani and certain niyama discipline, what I have inculcated within myself and for our student and for our family at All India Institute of Ayurveda and through wherever I go. So what I observed that every day I'm trying to become better version of myself. So the yoga is journey for becoming the better of our own self, because we determine, we get the discipline and have the niyama for our own self. I will follow certain discipline, some diet, lifestyle, क्योंकि आयुर्वेद मतलब क्या है, हमारी जो दिनचर्या है, दैनंदिनी है, हमारा खान पान क्या हो, हमारा लाइफस्टाइल क्या हो, आहार विहार एंड आचार, diet, lifestyle, and thought process, as it is envisioned as a achara rasayan. So what I do, what I eat, what I follow in 24 hours. If I decide to lay, if I write diary, I declare to myself, do a decision, then I sustain it, follow it at least for 20 days, at least for 40 days. And if I do it, that becomes the habit. So I'm trying to just inculcate healthy habits within myself. And that really gives me mental resilience, that gives me strength, that gives me physical strength, mental strength, and spiritual bliss, so that I can cope up my day-to-day work very efficiently. And I, to my all student and the teacher and all the academic faculty, I really like the definition of yoga as yoga karmasu kaushalyam, because that gives competency for performing whatever we do as a teaching, learning, researching, business, whatever we do, entrepreneurship. So we do it with proficiency, and yoga gives us the professional excellency, competency, and proficiency. That is my personal experience, which I would like to share. And I do yogic kriyas, yoga protocol. I do pranayam. I do meditation. I begin my day with following yoga, and that really I feel that then I'm ready. And at the end, I say that मैं स्वस्थ हूँ, मैं स्वस्थ हूँ, मैं स्वस्थ हूँ. And that gives positive affirmation to me, so that the entire day, whatever comes in my way, maybe it is a stressful ride, but uh, I say that the situation cannot be changed, but our attitude, if it is positive, I think we can really do anything, whatever in comes our way. So the yoga and Ayurveda has helped me to develop positive attitude. That is what I wanted to share, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll now move to Shri Saurabh Jain. Saurabh ji, you can speak now. We are not able to hear you. Could you please check your audio?
Sir, Saurabh has communicated that he has some bandwidth issues. So we'll go ahead to Saurabh Bothra, then we'll come back, sir.
Right. Saurabh Bothra ji, let us start with your.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I would like to keep it a little interactive, and I want to ask everyone here. So everyone knows about the benefits of yoga, but when you hear the word yoga, or when you say that, I will practice yoga, what is it that you are actually looking for? Can you just type that in the chat box once? मैं लोगों से जानना चाहूंगा कि जब आप बोलते हो कि मुझे योगा करना है, तो उसके पीछे कुछ तो रीजन होता ही है, isn't it? Right? So I want every one of you to write down in the chat box, what's your reason that you would want to start your practice? Oh, chat is disabled. Let me just enable the chat. Okay, here you go. You can write it in the chat box now. Quickly type in, yeah, lose weight, meditation, look young. Yeah, and we can be really honest. All of us know that the primary agenda of yoga looks like, oh, I want to lose weight. Lifestyle, flexibility, know myself, to do better concentration, keeps me fit, very nice. Okay. Better health, fun, yeah, so good. Peace of mind, physical health, spiritual growth, my reason for staying healthy. I don't want to have any support when I'm, aging. मुझे किसी पे सहारा नहीं चाहिए. बहुत बढ़िया. So good. Now, my second question to you is, we know what we want. We know what we need to do. So tell me this one quality that you feel I should have, that I will get this result. You've written that I want to practice yoga for a particular reason. Now tell me one quality that you feel that if I have this one quality, I will 100% get the result that I'm expecting. Quickly type that in the chat box. Consistency, discipline, perseverance, regularity, determination, confidence, discipline. Perfect. See, it's so wonderful that all of us know the benefits of yoga already. But the point is, just listening to the benefits of yoga is not going to do any good to us. For that, what we need to do is practice yoga every day. And like sir was mentioning, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the book of yoga, starts with this first shloka. The definition of yoga comes later, the definition of asanas come later, and everything else comes later in the book. The first shloka comes and says, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. That means let's begin the discipline or the practice of yoga. Now, the point is, where do we require discipline? We require discipline not in watching Instagram reels or scrolling or eating something which is tasty. We do not require discipline in all these things. It happens automatically. We require discipline in anything which is not so good to begin with, but the end result is extremely good. Isn't it? सही बात है कि नहीं? बताइए आप. हम जब शुरू करते हैं योगा का प्रैक्टिस तो लगता है अरे कल से करेंगे, आज छोड़ देते हैं, शाम को करते हैं, कल प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, परसों करेंगे, 1 तारीख से शुरू करेंगे, मंडे से शुरू करेंगे. We keep saying all of this, right? But the point is, when you practice it, that's where you actually get the result. Now, how do you change the equation here is something that I want to talk about. We all have access to enough information, but the point is, how do I implement this? Now, I'll take a very familiar example, which is if I want to lose weight. Most relatable example. I know a lot of people say that yoga actually does help in losing weight, which is true. And there is a possibility that yoga might not necessarily help you lose weight that you're aiming for, but it is really helpful. So how do I change the equation here? I want to say this one formula: rather than expecting or rather than measuring your weight, start measuring the number of days that you practice yoga. That's what is like discipline or practice, or या फिर आप जो वो श्लोक बोलते हैं हम लोग, कर्म करो फल की चिंता मत करो. इसका मतलब ये होता है कि आप अपने इनपुट को मेजर करो rather than your output. What is the output of practicing yoga? I will lose weight. But should you be measuring your weight every single day? It's a better idea to measure the number of days that you're practicing and not the weight. So quickly type M in the chat box if you agree to this and you promise me that we will not make only yoga day as our day when we practice yoga, but we will ensure that at least for the next 10 days, I'm not going to say do it for your entire life. I know that does not work. So it's a good idea to start counting the number of days. Today would be day 1. आज आप अगर योगा practice करते हैं या कर चुके हैं सुबह, तो उसको 1 count कर लो और 30 तारीख तक, अगले 10 दिन तक हर दिन योगा practice करेंगे. सिर्फ इतना सा संकल्प लो. And it starts from here, and you will notice that a lot of things start coming in. If I have to share my experience, I started teaching yoga online on the day of lockdown, which was 22nd March 2020. Today it is 21st June 2024. Almost 1550 days, 1550 दिन हो गए हैं. I have taken yoga session live every single day, literally every single day. And that's what I want to tell everyone. If you do consistent practice, it works magic. And I'll tell you what my magic is. On my first day of my class, I had 3 people join my yoga class. Today in the morning, I had around 4.5 lakh people joining me on a YouTube live session. And we have created a world record for that. That's what consistency does. So the entire journey is phenomenally great, and you can also experience it if you practice it. And it starts with that first 10 days of practice. So that's what I would want to say, and that's what my experience of yoga has been.
Thank you, Saurabh. Let's move to Saurabh Jain. Can you connect yourself? Is your network working?
Yes, it is working. Sorry for the technical problem. I hope all of you are able to hear me now. Thanks a lot to the panel members and Chairman sir for starting this discussion on what yoga as science and practice means. Here at Isha Foundation, under Sadhguru's guidance, we are for the last 3 decades offering the science of yoga to the whole world. And I would like to just start with how we look at it as yoga as a way of being and yoga as a practice. This is one thing which Sadhguru has been speaking about for many years, that the word yoga literally means union of what is being and what is existence has become one. What we normally consider as yoga are actually yogic practices, tools or methods which help you attain that state. So today I would like to not focus too much on that state. I would like to share my experience, my understanding of what these tools are. Much has been said about yoga. A lot of buzz has been created around yoga, which is fantastic. But it is equally important that we understand the profoundness, the depth and dimension of what this science offers to us. So here at Isha Foundation, to make yoga become more contextual for a modern man, we one of the aspects of yoga that we refer to is inner engineering. What inner engineering literally means is to create my interiority the way I want it to happen. See, right now, if you just look at it in a way with just a moment of awareness, each one of us, if I ask this simple question, and I would like to have some comments and feedbacks from the participants, if you have this choice to make yourself pleasant or unpleasant, what will you choose? You can just type U for unpleasant and P for pleasant. If you have to choose between being joyful and miserable, what will you choose? You can type J or M. Now, this is a very obvious question. If we have a choice, we'll definitely want to make ourselves joyful, peaceful, loving at every moment. So this is the intention. This is a natural intelligence. But somehow, it doesn't matter what kind of work we are in. It doesn't matter what kind of comfort and convenience we have created around ourselves. Somehow, our mind, our body, our emotions, and our life energies are not happening the way we want it to happen. One of the reasons why, because some aspects of our life, like our body and our mind, we are aware to some extent. We are conscious of it to some extent. But our emotions, our life energies, perhaps we do not even have awareness enough to experience them. So I would like to do two experiments right now. Many of us have been talking about yoga as a method, as a tool to reduce stress. But we have this definition in our mind that the stress is happening because of the outside situation. Let's have a look at it. If you ask the man on the street, he is stressed. If you ask people at work, they are stressed. If you ask married people, they are stressed. If you ask unmarried people, of course they are stressed. You ask people with children, they are stressed. If you ask people who are not having children, they are stressed. If you ask unemployed, they are stressed. If you ask people with job, they are also stressed. So essentially, stress is not happening because of any particular situation. Stress is simply happening because we do not know how to keep our body, we do not know how to keep our mind, we do not know how to keep our emotions, we do not know how to keep our life energy. Let's do this right now. See, for next 30 seconds, I request each one of you not to think about monkey. You should not think about monkey. Can you do that, please? Those who can, please type yes in the chat. I don't see any responses. Because you might not have seen a monkey in last 1 month. You might not have even spoken the word monkey for a year. But the moment we say, no, you should not think about monkey, that's what happens in the mind. So that's the nature of the mind. Whatever you say not, that's what happens. Similarly, there are other subtle aspects of the body, mind, and breath, which are right now not happening the way we want them to happen. Is it okay with all of you if we do a 30-second experiment about what yogic practices can do? Are you all okay with that? Okay. So what we would like to do is, you just sit with your spine comfortably erect. Keep your hands and legs uncrossed. Place your thighs loosely, gently. Place your palms loosely, gently on your thighs. You close your eyes and you take few deep breaths. As you take in these breaths, just see where the maximum compression and expansion is happening in the lungs. Is it happening higher up? Is it happening in the middle? Is it happening in the bottom? Just take few breaths like this and do. And then when I say switch, you turn your palms upside and you repeat the same thing. You just, with your eyes closed, take few deep breaths in and deep breaths out. And notice where the expansion and the compression is happening. Let's take 15 seconds and do this. Switch. Put your palms facing upward. Take few deep breaths. Just notice where maximum compression and expansion is happening. Please open your eyes. Did you notice any difference? Is there a difference in your breath when your palms are facing down and when your palms are facing up? Do you see any difference? If you pay just a little bit of attention, you can very clearly see when you keep your palms facing down, the breath is happening in the lower region of lungs. It's happening a little deeper. When you keep your palms up, it's happening in the upper lobe, in the higher portion of the lungs. The breath is slightly shallower. So just by changing the way you hold your hands, the very way the breath is functioning in your body is changing. This is not just about breath. The very way the life energies are functioning are changing simply by changing the way you hold your hand. But please see, in your unawareness, how many times in a day you are just doing this, whatever anybody asks. So you are setting up the whole energy system in a turmoil. And then we are hoping to be peaceful, joyful. Such a thing doesn't happen because as we are looking at it, yoga is science. If you do the right things, the right thing will happen. If you do not do the right things, right thing will not happen. It doesn't matter who does it, how and when they do it. If it is the right thing, right consequences will happen. So it has been my experience. I'm an engineer by profession, graduated from IIT Bombay about 25 years ago, 24 years ago. And last 17 years, I've been practicing and offering this science of inner engineering to the world. The beauty of this process is the way it has been designed and structured by Sadhguru. It works at all levels of body, mind, emotions, and life energies. And just as a science, as other panelists are talking about, all you have to do is to learn how to apply the tool. If you know how to apply this tool of yoga, it's very much possible. And I think, making use of this platform, I would like to make this request that all you eminent educationalists, it's time that the youth of the country takes it up, not as a philosophy, not as a historic ancient religion, or just a matter of national pride, but as an engineering and science which has the potential of creating our destinies the way we want it. Thank you very much.
Right. We have 3 panelists and they presented yoga from different perspectives in different ways. Very interesting. What we will do now is we will have a small discussion among the panelists and then we will move on to the questions. You know, one of the questions that you asked is, if I ask you to choose between, let's say, happiness and unhappiness, naturally, most of us will tend to choose happiness because we have certain perception about what is happiness, what is unhappiness. And where you draw the boundary, what some people may think unhappiness may not be unhappiness for other set of people. And what we think is happiness, some people may still consider it as unhappiness. So let us have a small discussion on how do we say that something is happiness and something is unhappiness. So I would like to throw this question to the panelists, and each one of you can shed light on this. We can start with Saurabh Bothra.
Sir, I too have a little different opinion here. Sometimes in the understanding of happiness and unhappiness, we might become a little complacent. And personally, as a person who I am, I don't consider like I don't want to chase happiness or unhappiness, but I definitely want to have something which is uncomfortable for me to do. Like speaking in front of 1,000 people. You might say that this is unhappiness for some, but this is something that will give you more confidence, that will give you more growth. So it can be unpleasant, it can be uncomfortable, it can be unhappy also when you talk in front of so many vice chancellors and especially you, sir. So it can make anyone nervous and really like push your limits. But that's really good for you. So that would be my opinion, that happiness is something which is not really can be defined. It is very individual. Everyone has their own definitions. And personally, I strive for something that at least one thing I should do to make myself uncomfortable and push my boundaries. So that is my point of view on that.
Right. Professor Tanuja?
Yeah, this question is very interesting because the objective of Ayurveda is to make everyone happy, healthy and happy. Hita, hitam, sukham, dukham. So many definitions, theories, but when it comes to the application, whether you are happy or not happy, and as you rightly mentioned that it is really person specific. Someone's happiness is others' unhappiness. So what exactly is the happiness to me, and what exactly? So happiness sometimes in the early childhood or during young age, what I would wanted to have some sari. This is what I am wearing. So today I wore it, and if tomorrow you again invite me, so for me it is again unhappiness because I have to wear the same sari. So that is again the same very transit moment of the happiness. So what I have understood over the years with my experience is that happiness is not in obtaining anything, but happiness is in giving. When I see that my lecture, my students, they are their satisfaction, they understood it, and they said it, can you take it class again? So that is, my happiness is like spellbound. And when I'm a doctor, my patients, they become that I am feeling better. That is my happiness. So my domestic help, I give something to them, then that is the happiness. So that is my personal experience. I feel that happiness is not in giving, but happiness is in giving others.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Saurabh, Jain?
Chairman sir, just one thing, when I asked this question about given a choice whether you would like to choose happiness or joyfulness, I don't think there is anybody here who will choose anything else. It's not about some of us or most of us. I think it is all of us. Whatever our definition of happiness at this moment is, definitions might be different. This is about individual choices. But each one of us right now wants to create a state of joyfulness within ourselves. The methods, mechanisms, tools might be different, but the aspiration, the human being by default, by natural state, is longing to joy. So what it is might be different for different people. In a social context, yes, the definition of happiness might be different from one person to another person. But here, we are not looking at it as a social context. All we are looking at is whatever you consider the best to be happening to you. Shouldn't your body, your mind, your emotions, and your life energies work towards that? People on the outside, situation on the outside may or may not happen the way you want it to. Actually, it does not. For nobody's happens on the outside exactly the way they want. But within ourselves, this possibility, this potential is very much there. That's why we are saying this is inner engineering. This is about creating my interiority the way I want it. Externally, I have to build capabilities. The situations have to be right. So many things have to fall in place. But within myself, at least what's happening within myself, that should be defined by me. And every major problem and accomplishment that we're talking about, joy or misery, stress or alienation, everything is happening within us. So for me, this is about what's happening within. Thank you.
Right, right. One term we very commonly come across in our discussions is stress, mental stress. Students face, people who are working face, housewives face, everybody at some time or the other, they face stress. One of the reasons perhaps why all of us face this stress in our lives is because we do not have forgiveness. And I would like you to discuss and then correct me if I am wrong, because let's say I set a goal to get a good rank in an entrance exam. I work very hard, but I couldn't get that rank. Now, if I forgive myself, all right, you tried your best, you couldn't get this rank. I forgive myself, but I work and I try next time. Similarly, let's say you're the boss in the office and somebody who is working in your office has done something what you consider as wrong, and then you get very angry and you become very stressful. Suppose you forgive that person and give another chance to improve and do better, you can avoid that stressful condition. And in fact, this argument can be expanded across our life situations. And if we can forgive ourselves and forgive others, I think to a large extent we can minimize stress in our minds. I would like you to shed light on what you think about it. Any one of you. We can start with Saurabh Bothra.
So that's absolutely true. So there are so many people who come in our yoga sessions and they say that, I've been trying to lose weight, or I've been trying to practice yoga, or I've been trying to do this or that, and I'm not able to do it. And people keep blaming themselves that, I lack motivation. I don't have what it takes to complete it, or I'm not able to do it. So I usually tell everyone that the first thing that you need is you have to trust your own self. If you keep telling someone else, so like I give this example most of the times, someone comes and tells you that, oh, you're a wrong person, you're a bad person. How do we feel? We feel really bad about it, isn't it? And we are the one person who tells the most negative stuff to ourselves. And I think that's the primary problem. We are not able to follow something consistently. So if you do not forgive yourself, I think we will always remain, stuck at any level, be it your physical health, be it your spiritual health, your mental health, everything gets stuck. And that's the first thing is you should drop that, oh, I have done this wrong in the past, and you have to overcome it and start focusing on what I can do today. So really true, sir. Absolutely agreed here that if we forgive ourselves and I think forgiveness to outside also comes from forgiveness in the inside. If we keep on holding ourselves responsible for it too much, then we also hold others also responsible for it. And we keep telling them, because of you, I'm feeling this, because of you, I'm experiencing that. And both are not right. So if we really do that, I'm sure 50% stress goes away from the society altogether.
Right. Professor Saurabh Jain.
Yes, forgiveness or forgetting it has its own space, and I agree to some extent on that. But I also sometimes think it like this, that somewhere I heard that Krishna say, "Why are you becoming so serious? Life is a game, play it." And then many of our programs we start with this, that the only way to really experience the peak of who you are is to take it like a game. Playing it like a game essentially means that I want to win, but if I lose, it's okay. See, without a strong desire to win, there is no game. You cannot throw yourself completely. You cannot participate in it unless you have a strong desire to win. But at the same time, if I'm not okay to lose, then there is no game either. Now, the best way would be for us to participate in such a way that the involvement is 100% there. And then the outcome is dependent on so many things. The question is not whether you won the game or not. The question is whether you participated in or not. So coming back to this thing, that if you are able to create your emotions and your thoughts the way you want it, the participation will happen. And at the end of the day, participating 100% will be a bigger success, will be a bigger fulfillment than the outcome. With forgiveness, I just have this small hesitation. This might be my personal view. But before we forget or forgive, we have to put the blame on somebody. I have often thought, what is the need of first putting the blame either on myself or on somebody else, and then forgive? If you are in such a state where you are consciously responding to everything that is happening around you, there will be no such dilemma and confusion. The matter of students becoming stressed, I come from Kota, which has unfortunately from coaching capital has become suicide capital, and we are doing programs there to equip the youngsters with that. It's not a problem which we can just ignore. It's a very serious issue. But in my view, the solution there also is bringing that inherent quality that you can throw yourself completely, enjoy that participation, enhance your capabilities, and it's perfectly fine if you're playing it as a game, as long as you have thrown yourself completely. I'm sure our youngsters have this strong human element in them where they don't need to perhaps worry about forgiving. They will not even take the blame on themselves. They're just participating. Thank you.
Right.
I think it is me. It's my turn now. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Jagadish Kumarji. So with both great Saurabhs, Jain and Bothra, with their all mindful engineering thought, the youngsters' mind-blowing thoughts. Now I want to say that coming from the theory, principle, and practice, because I'm a teacher, so what I feel that forget and forgive, Ayurveda says that how we attain the happiness and how we relieve the stress. So it says that nityam hitahara vihara sevi samikshakari vishayeshu asaktaha. The more important last line is very important. Data samaha satyaparaha kshamavan. The nara bhavati arogi. So the one who is a data, then one who is a kshamavan, who is always forgiving to himself or others, वो बीमार नहीं होता है. That becomes the true holistic well-being. So this is the process how we have to become the healthy and happy. Or about forgetting and forgive. So we say that forget and forgive for ourselves and for others also. लेकिन मैं बहुत ही जो simple जो मैं आचरण करती हूँ, क्योंकि योग भी हमें mindfulness, प्रेजेंट में फोकस रहना सिखाता है, बाकी चीजें हमें मायने नहीं रखती. तो हमें ये कहना चाहिए फॉरगिव और फॉरगिव से भी ज्यादा लेट गो, छोड़ दो ना. जो हमारे काम की चीजें याद रखो, बाकी सब छोड़ दो. तो ये छोड़ दो किया और लेट गो किया तो मुझे लगता है बहुत सारी चीजें बिना स्ट्रेस के हो जाएगी, जिंदगी आसान हो जाएगी. थैंक यू.
So let us take some questions now. There is one question from the social media, and it's a typical question. Many of us ask this question. The entire world outside is bad. And what is the meaning of yoga to me? How can I use yoga to become sane as an island in this bad world? So let us start. Any one of you can speak on this. Tanuja ji, would you like to start?
What I would to say that when the situation, when it is said that something which is unavoidable, we have to enjoy it. If we can change, we have to change it. The yoga gives us courage to change it. But if you cannot change it, then you really develop that attitude to accept it. But when the situation is not being changed, yoga and other practices develop the attitude where you develop that attitude to accept the situation, or you develop your attitude to see differently towards the situation. So that positive yoga develops positive एटीट्यूड, सकारात्मक सोच से दुनिया चाहे कोई भी है, हमारा नजरिया हम बदल सकते हैं.
But there is something in this when we feel the entire world is bad. We have constantly, some of us, this feeling that everybody is trying to do something bad to me. Wherever I go, something bad is happening to me. These persistent negative feelings.
हाँ, yes sir.
At that
तो ये
time,
मुझे ऐसा
that colors the way we see the world, because the very premise is in the beginning is that the entire world is bad.
यस सर. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे जिनको पीलिया होती है तो उनका जैसे चश्मा पहना तो सब पीला दिखना लगता है. सो इट इज एक्चुअली समथिंग रॉन्ग इज इन माय थॉट प्रोसेस, क्योंकि द थॉट बिकम्स बिहेवियर, बिहेवियर बिकम्स एक्शन एंड द पर्सनालिटी. तो मुझे मेरी थॉट में ही कहीं गड़बड़ है, वो सुधारना होगा तो मुझे आजू बाजू का पूरा वर्ल्ड अच्छा दिखेगा. ग्लास आधा भरा है या खाली है, तो मुझे खाली ही दिख रहा है, तो भरा हुआ दिखने के लिए मुझे नजरिया बदलना होगा.
I think here Saurabh Jain will definitely have something to say about inner engineering.
Thank you, sir. Not only it's about the perception that you are rightly pointing out, that starting with that point of view that the whole world is bad, that itself is a starting of the problem, and then trying to solve it by making yourself into an island is perhaps going further deeper into the crisis. If you just look at this, the life within is not, Sadhguru has spoken about it in so many ways, in so many examples. Life is not happening in isolation. Life is happening in a constant response to the whole existence. Whether it is a sunlight, whether it is another human being, whether it's a plant, a tree, an animal, an insect, an earthworm, every life form is interacting with another life form. If we look at it, I'm not a trained psychologist, but my limited understanding of psychology says that the moment the person is trying to draw boundaries narrower and narrower and narrower and becoming smaller and a smaller island, they are heading towards serious depression, isolation, and serious mental problems. So the solution is not really to become an island. The solution is to start realizing, yes, as both of you, Tanuja and Chairman San, you are talking about, the fundamental thing is the experience of my life is happening from within. That's the first step. And the second step is to also have this experientially being available to the life that is happening around. And this is where, now I would like to come back to the word yoga. It is not about bending the body or breathing in a certain manner. Yes, those are practices, tools that you use. But the fundamental word itself says union. Where is a friction? Where is a contradiction? Where is a conflict? If you are in tune with the existence. And when I say tune with the existence, I'm not just talking about social tuning. That may or may not be there. It might be, if society is growing some kind of thrive, that kind of sync may be not there in terms of society, but in terms of existence. You sitting on a planet which is revolving at a high speed, going in a solar system which is part of a huge galaxy. This life cannot be happening in its isolation. But people who are at that point where things have gone this far, I think they will need to start with a simple step, a simple process. And there are many ways for it. I would say that first way to start would be to perhaps at the level of thought itself, and going through a book, going through a video, going through a quote can trigger that chain of events which can pull somebody out from such a repressive state.
Right. Saurabh, Bothra, would you like to say something?
Yeah, so I think there are two aspects to it. One is, of course, our inner attitude and how we look at things. But I would want to touch upon Tanuja madam's topic here. So a lot of times the expression or the thoughts that we have are linked to what we feed inside. And it also happens with the food, and it also happens with the things that we see visually. So I feel when someone says that the world is bad, probably it is because of the influence of the media these days. And that is the primary reason we have been feeding ourselves with so much of negative news. The outcome is anyways going to be bad. Similarly, it is strongly said in Ayurveda that जैसा अन्न वैसा मन, जैसा आप खाते हो वैसे ही आपको विचार भी आते हैं. तो हमारा diet is also something that impacts our thought process. So if you feed in good, like the body is like Agni, right? Jathar Agni, and there are so many types of Agnis. If you put a tire in a fire, it will produce black smoke. But if you put ghee in a fire, it will produce fragrance, it will purify the surroundings. So it's very important to detox yourself from social media for some days, from food, and properly having, like, if you know how to fast properly, maybe probably do a juice fast or some Ayurvedic techniques that are there for detoxifying ourselves. I think those are really important in today's time when you want to purify the thought process. And that really helps. And this is something that I follow myself, like staying away from social media for 2-3 days. Probably in 3-4 months also, you can do it once, and you will realize that your mind settles down so much and you start having better perspective towards life. So this is what I would say, that not entirely that can happen everything. Like the environment also will have an impact, whatever you say.
Right. But you also touched upon an important topic, which is diet. You know, today we are so much obsessed with processed food, and there is so much of salt, sugar, fat, and almost no fiber in our food. And it's all leading to lifestyle diseases in our country, whether it is blood pressure, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, fatty liver, and so on. I would like each one of you to please say a few words on the importance of diet in our lives. So
I think this only Tanuja ma'am should be saying today. ये तो उनका core topic है.
बिल्कुल कहा आपने, क्योंकि आयुर्वेद का हम यही कहते हैं कि यू आर व्हाट वी ईट. मन का अन्नमयत्व है. हम जो है वो मन के अन्न के कारण है. मन भी, तन भी, शरीर भी, सभी अन्न के कारण है. तो आयुर्वेद में हम ये कहते हैं कि पथ्ये सदिगदार्थस्य किम औषधम निसेवनम. मतलब अगर हमने मेडिसिन भी खाई लेकिन परहेज नहीं किया तो वो मेडिसिन का कोई मतलब नहीं. और हमने परहेज बहुत अच्छा किया, डूज डोंट सब कुछ, डाइट का हैबिट अच्छे किए, तो मेडिसिन की जरूरत ही नहीं. तो डाइट, फूड इज एट द सेंटर. और वो अग्नि पचाने वाला हो, सात्विक हो, स्निग्ध हो, और आयुर्वेद में आयुर्वेद षड्रस वाला हो, ताजा हो. सब लोग, हर कोई, जैसे चेयरमैन सर ने कहा था, सो द प्रोसेस फूड. और ये सभी के बारे में तो ऐसे कई सारे ऐप है, मैं नाम भी नहीं लूंगी, कि जैसे कि आजकल कोई घर में करना भी नहीं चाहता है, अपने हाथों से करना भी नहीं चाहता है. तो क्या सात्विक है? घी, नट्स, ताजा फल, ये सात्विक है. इससे भी ज्यादा ये कहा है ताजा, जो ताजा घर में पकाया हुआ, वो 3 घंटे में खाया, वो ताजा, वो सात्विक है. तो हर कोई इतना भी करे कि एक समय हम होम कुक, फ्रेशली कुक फूड खाए, तो मुझे लगता है हमारा मन, स्ट्रेस, तन बहुत अच्छा रहेगा. एंड आई एम वेरी हैप्पी सौरभ जी कि आप इतने ज्यादा, आपके फॉलोअर्स है 5 लाख. तो मुझे लगा कि आप आयुर्वेदाचार्य ही है, तो आपका एक कप होगा
मैं
तो हम भी हो
इंजीनियर हूँ.
जाएंगे.
मैं IIT BHU से पढ़ा हूँ, बट क्योंकि मेरे दादाजी डॉक्टर है, डॉक्टर थे, और वहां से घर में थोड़ा ऐसे आता है that he was a doctor in 1955, and he, because at those times he chose to go and practice in a village. और विलेज में क्योंकि एलोपैथी का इतना सेटअप नहीं होता था, तो he used to practice allopathy and Ayurveda combination. So it comes in the family a little bit. The background has some medical roots.
Yes. तो आज भी हमने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में योगा किया सभी जजेस के साथ. तो हमने सभी फ्रेश हेल्दी फूड सबको सर्व किया. तो योग और अच्छा खाना दोनों जुड़ गया, तो वो 1 on the 1, वो 2 नहीं होता है, 11 होता है. तो होलिस्टिक वेलबींग के लिए, जैसे चेयरमैन ने सर ने कहा, तो डाइट इज वेरी सेंटर टू दी अटेनिंग दी होलिस्टिक वेलबींग अलोंग विथ योग. क्योंकि वो आहार है, फिर विहार योग हो सकता है, उसके साथ साथ निद्रा भी है. और मैं सबको ये जरूर कहना चाहूंगी कि ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेद में हमारा एक होलिस्टिक वेलबींग का मॉडल है, जिसमें 25 लाख पेशेंट हमने पिछले 5 साल में ठीक किया है. उसमें पंचकर्म तो है 44 स्पेशलिटी एरियाज में, जिसमें औषध भी है, लेकिन डाइट ये नेसेसरी है, मेडिटेशन और योग भी है. ये होलिस्टिक मॉडल से इंटीग्रेटेड डायग्नोस्टिक्स हम एलोपैथी की करते हैं, डेटा मैनेज करते हैं। जैसे आपके 5 लाख फैन फॉलोअर्स है, हमारे 25 लाख पिछले 5 साल में, हमने भी कोविड से एक पहले शुरू किया। तो आई विल इनवाइट ईच एंड एवरीवन टू फॉलो दिस होलिस्टिक। और अब जो मॉडल है, प्लीज विजिट अस and
Yes.
you can also implement and inculcate those healthy habits, and we are there always to support everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That will be really helpful. We will definitely get in touch with you after this call.
Thank you.
So, all good things have to come to an end. I think we have spent almost an hour. It was such a pleasure to have all three of you on our platform. Saurabh Jain is from IIT Bombay, and Saurabh Bothra is from IIT BHU. Both have dedicated their lives to yoga, leaving their corporate careers. So therefore, the things that you have said really mattered to all of us in this audience, because it is coming through your life practices. And then we have Professor Tanuja, who has a long experience in Ayurveda. Thank you very much for being with us. And this video will be available on our social media platforms. Those of you who might have missed can still watch the deliberations of this program. So with these comments, I would like to conclude here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It is an honor. Thank you very much for having us.